I'm back. Rodrance for Black and White Network. Well, this subject is pretty near and dear to my heart. Make sure you hit subscribe if you want to hear things that aren't covered by the mainstream media, or you want some non-biased, peel back the curtain, real deal dialogue about something that the mainstream is trying to blow smoke up your ass about. One of the things that's near and dear to my heart is exposing the BLM and Antifa and their violence. Joe Biden, Antifa is certainly not just an idea. It never was. It was a violent militant group, period. Okay, domestic terrorist is what the great President Trump would have said. Well, up in Canada, we, of course, have some proud, patriotic Canadians and Americans up there protesting vaccine mandates. They've made a point to say, and the mainstream media is not covering this, they've made a point to say they're not anti-vax. They're anti-vaccine mandate. Okay, there's a difference. Again, coercion, in my opinion, is the dirty little brother of forcing. I mean, let's just be real. Forcing. Okay. What's happened up there is now you're getting some violence on these peaceful truckers. And look, have there been some outliers, some bad apples in the group? Yeah, there always is. In any group, large group that gets together. But these are not white supremacists. Again, a lot of blacks up there. Proud black patriots, both Canadian and American, in this trucking convoy. GoFundMe has tried to stop them. I mean, we know it's the machine is against these men and women up there. Okay, but the other day they had a violent incident happen to them, where a Jeep plowed through a bunch of these peaceful protesters and hurt four of them. Okay, mainstream media has been wildly quiet. Okay. Number one, they didn't want to talk about violence on the truckers. We know how that gets swept under the rug. And they certainly don't ever talk about Antifa. I always will try to expose Antifa and the BLM for what they are when I can. YouTube does not like that. I'm not sure why. Maybe because Joe Biden, they're an idea once again. Suspect in Canada trucker protest hit and run is a militant Antifa punk rocker. Yeah. The suspect arrested over the car ramming attack against the Freedom Convoy anti-vaccine mandate protesters in Winnipeg is an Antifa member with a long history of far-left militant activism in Canada. This is the great, legendary Andy Nago on this, who, of course, covered so many of the Soros-led violent ongoings from last year. David Alexander Zargarat, 42, of Headley, Manitoba, allegedly sped off in his Jeep Patriot to try to escape after the incident last Friday, which injured 4 people and was caught on camera. Zagarat ran multiple lights and resisted arrest when he was finally caught around 40 minutes later, according to Winnipeg police. He is the well-known frontman and vocalist of several Antifa punk bands since the early 2000s, most notably Brad Attack. He was vocal about his veganism. Oh, okay. These Antifa guys are a bunch of beta males. I mean, they just are. They run into some true patriotic alpha Jessies, and they don't have much to say when they run into those guys. They're wearing so much armor. I mean, they won't draw down one-on-one, good old-fashioned man-on-man style. Veganism and radical anarchist politics. However, in 2015, his record label, Rebel Time Records, dropped him because of assault accusations, multiple ones, involving a 13-year-old girl, if that tells you anything. He is known as his music is extremely political and features violent extremist themes consistent with the subgenre of anti-fascist punk. One of the tracks from Brat Attack was written about former conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Good grief, this guy's a scumbag. On his Facebook page, he mocked anti-mandate protesters in one post in November 2020 and said, "I don't know why folk are hating on masks. I love mine." Well, that's because you're a criminal and you can hide behind it. And don't think for a second. And, of course, Antifa is actually trying to distance themselves from this guy. Guess what? Antifa, you get to own this one. You get to own this, okay? I used to love that back in the 80s and the 90s. You'd have a member of a terrorist organization go out and bomb some bunch of innocents, and then 12 hours later, the actual terrorist group he's involved with would issue a statement. Oh, well, that's a former member. Yeah, former as in you kicked him out 32 minutes ago while you made the video, and then you brought him back in after the video was made. Stop it. So now we've got these Soros-led MFers up in Canada. Now, he's from Canada, so I don't know how much of an Antifa presence is in Canada, but the one thing we got to acknowledge here is no mainstream media coverage whatsoever. Okay, if it wasn't for Andy Ngo and Ian Miles Chong, guys like that, we wouldn't see this. This stuff wouldn't get exposed. Okay, and these videos generally are not pushed out in YouTube recommendations because Big Tech doesn't want to expose BLM and Antifa for what they are. Okay, Trump was trying to. Okay, but the mainstream would always shut him down. Of course, the classic Chris Wallace, Trump back and forth where the Proud Boys were brought up and all of that. I mean, I could make so many videos about that organization proving that they are not a white supremacist organization. But, you know, YouTube might just shut the damn channel down. I may do some of those over on Rumble. We've got a Black and White News over on Rumble. So I might do that. So that's the thing. Now, the mainstream media, if there's an outlier, you know, bad apple here or there in the Freedom Truckers protest, mainstream media is all over that. They are all over that. Oh, look at these violent white supremacists. And there's 12 black guys walking by carrying flags, Canadian and American, waving them. But the media is like, oh, look at the white supremacists walking by. And you're like, what? What? But that is the narrative right now. Okay? That's what we're here for, by the way. Tell me what you think, Black and White Network supporters. Make sure you hit subscribe. They keep throwing them up and we'll keep knocking them out. But Antifa, you bet I'm going to continue to make videos about them in the safest way I can for the channel. But they're not an idea. They are a violent extremist group. They are funded in many ways by George Soros. They're protected by democratic socialist leadership around the country. In democratic counties, they only pull this shit. Like in America, they only pull this shit in democratic counties, blue, deep blue counties. You know, they don't pull into an ultra red county in Texas and pull this shit because a sheriff would deputize 50 alphas and that would be a wrap. You don't see that, you know. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out till next time.